Hi, happy Friday. It's Friday today. Can you believe it? The weekend is here. You know, in lockdown every day is the same. No, it's not really. Monday to Friday is sort of the same, and the weekend is a bit different for some reason. Don't know why. It just feels a bit different. The sun is shining here in Sydney. We have had weather like spring. It's unbelievable. I know it's going to change. I know we're going to get winter back at some point, but I'm excited to enjoy the sunshine. And I wanted to try this without my glasses to see if I could read it. And guess what? I can't. Lucky my apron has a glasses pocket, and I happen to have them here. I probably need my reading glasses rather than these multis. I think would be better. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the waves. Hello. So good to have everyone here. We are going to have Jane Lawson with us today, and hopefully Jane's going to come on for a bit of a chat if I can work out how to do it. Yeah, we'll see how we go in the middle. When our dough is resting, we're going to have a chat to Jane, which she's going to tell us about the book and how the idea started, because I love it. Hey, Esther, my sister in Melbourne. Hey, everybody. Great to have you all here. I love our Instagram Live family. It's just fantastic. Hey, Marla. Hey, Deb. Good to have you here. Special shout out to those lovely people that sent me messages in the last day or so. Just means so much to me that I am making your day better, and you're making my day better too. So you know what? It's a mutually beneficial exercise, and I'm happy. Hey, Calm in Winston, Calm Winston in Canada. How you going? Oh, on a vacation. Yeah, making us jealous because we're not going anywhere for the time being. Anyway, we won't talk about that now. We won't talk about our numbers or anything today. We are just going to focus on this delicious thing that we are making, and I am taking a shortcut and some liberties today, but we're going to try to make the biscuit dough. We're going to try to rest it as long as we can, put it in the freezer because we don't have a lot of time. Then Jane's going to come on, and we're not going to make the marshmallow. Actually, you know what? I'm going too far ahead of myself. Let me just explain. Breathe. Today we are making wagon wheels. For those who didn't grow up, I think it's an Australian thing. I'm not sure. Can I have some input from someone in the US or Canada? Do you know what a wagon wheel is? I would love to know that. Or is it an Australian thing? I just don't know the answer to that. I can't even remember the brand that made them. I know they still made them, and I think I bought one about 2 years ago, and it was just so not good, and I was so disappointed. And as a kid, I used to love them. So what it is, it's two biscuits, like two vanilla biscuits or cookies, if you're American, browns, about that big. And in between, we have, thank you, Weston's Wagon Wheel, of course. Weston's, Westons. That's it. Thank you, Esther. Sandwiched in the biscuits was marshmallow and jam, red jam, sandwiched together, and then the whole thing was dipped in chocolate. And came in a packet, one serve, one packet, open it up, yum, eat it. So good. I think that Jane Lawson's, from her book, Milk Bar Memories, which she's going to talk about shortly, if I can work out how to get her on this Insta Live, are much better than the ones that you can buy now, by a country mile. So let's get started, because what I want to do is make the biscuit dough, put it in the freezer to rest, talk about the other ingredients, speak to Jane, then get back to our biscuit dough, roll them, bake them, All right, so let's start. This is a really classic pastry that we're making, or biscuit dough, using a very classic method, food processor, which is great. If you don't have a food processor, I suggest that you use a pastry cutter. If you don't have one of these, which you should have, it's essential. I use it all the time. You can buy them anywhere online. Someone sent me a link the other day. It looked really nice from, yeah, it'd be good if I could remember. Can't remember, but, you know, Google it. Morning, Jane. Glad you've just joined us. Okay, so use one of these. If you don't have these, you can use these fingertips, because we're going to make crumbs, but with the butter and the flour and the sugar. But let's use the food processor today, because I'm feeling like a shortcut person today. I'm taking lots of shortcuts because it's just one of those days, okay? So you need your food processor if you've got one, get it ready, and let's get everything that we need. We need 200 grams of unsalted butter, which I didn't write in the recipe. It needs to be cold. If it's not cold now, chop it up quickly and pop it in the freezer while we get the rest of the ingredients ready, okay? 200 grams of butter. We need 125 grams or 1 cup of icing sugar, which is confectioner's sugar if you are in the US. We need 300 grams, which is 2 cups of plain all-purpose flour. We need 1 egg yolk, a pinch of salt always, and half a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of water. So I've just got a little glass of water here, which I'm going to take a teaspoon out of shortly. All right, are we ready? Let's make the dough. I'm going to start by putting my dry ingredients. My icing sugar, my flour, and a pinch of salt into my food processor. I'm going to give it a whiz. All we're doing is mixing and aerating, just combining, you know, like we talked before about, you know, if you add butter to something that's not well combined, everything has to work a lot harder to get the dough or the pastry you want. Better to mix the dry first and then take the next step. Good morning, Dorothy. And question from Mish. I am using a Magimix. It's old and I love it. And my blade is getting blunt. And I've replaced the bowl a couple of times. And I wish I could just buy this machine again, but I can't because it comes with a whole million accessories pack. Like I just want this again. So good. Anyway, I'm just going to get my butter. Hold on a second. Chat amongst yourselves. Okay, butter. I've got 200 grams of butter, which of course has been chopped and has been in the fridge because I want it cold. Because what we want for this pastry is we want the butter not to be all the way through. We want little tiny bits of butter to be in little tiny bits. Does that make sense? So that when it cooks, they make a little tiny flaky layers, so we don't have a hard biscuit. We have a really, not flaky, but buttery short biscuit, which is what we want, okay? I hope that made sense. If your butter is not cold and you want to proceed with us, you know what, just go ahead with us and it will be, you just have to be really careful to not over process the butter when it goes in. That's all. But better if the butter's cold. It's ideal. Okay, so now I'm going to put the butter in. If you're doing it in the bowl, you're going to do it with your pastry cutter or your fingertips. Fingertips, you'll need to cut it smaller because it's really hard work. And you'll get RSI from doing it. I don't know about you, but my hands, my finger gets sore if I'm doing it with cold butter. So I would chop the butter up a bit more if you're doing it by hand. And now I'm going to pulse it. That's why this food processor is a food processor is just essential for pastry work. And we're just pulsing it, and what we're aiming for is like a crumb texture, okay? So coarse breadcrumbs. I find also with pastry in the food processor, it's very hard to get it wrong. It's very hard to overwork it and muck it up. All right. Hey everybody, thank you for the waves. It's so nice to see you all here. I am making wagon wheels, a delicacy from my childhood and from Jane Lawson's book, Milk Bar Memories. Okay, so, how are we going? No, not there yet, just about. Okay. So, now I have a very crumbly mixture with little tiny bits of butter and the flour mixed together. Now, my wet ingredients. I need 1 egg yolk. Now, some of you may know, as I've told you before, is that Danny, husband Danny, is on an egg white binge. He's sort of the sort of person that has these, what can I call them, obsessions from time to time with food. So he'll have, once it was like Special K with peaches, SPC peaches. So we would have to have that for 2 years. He would have it for breakfast. And then it was muesli and a certain sort of yogurt, and that was what he had for the next 3 years for breakfast. And then he changes it from time to time, but it's always the same, right? Same thing for years. And now he's on egg whites for breakfast. It's 3 egg whites. So every day I have 3 egg yolks to do something with. and I put them in a cup in the fridge, and sometimes there's 6 and sometimes there's 3, and sometimes they go to mush and I can't work out what a whole egg yolk is. That's the purpose of this long story. So I weigh it, and an egg yolk should weigh around 20 grams, okay? 18 to 20 grams. So if your egg yolks are all mixed up already and you can't get one out, just weigh it, okay? So that's 1 egg yolk. That was a long story for an egg yolk, wasn't it? I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of vanilla in, and you know by now, all of you, that I never measure vanilla. I'm going to just put in a half a teaspoon. Okay, and 1 teaspoon of water. So Karen from New Jersey says her clothes are getting tighter from all my goodies. Yeah, my clothes are not getting tighter because I'm wearing leggings and tracksuit pants every day. There's the solution. Okay, who's also wearing leggings and tracksuit pants every day? I don't think in lockdown it's appropriate to wear anything that has a button and a zip. What do we think? Okay, 1 teaspoon. Talking a lot today. All right. Just whisk that together with a fork. Just want to mix in the vanilla and the water and the egg together. Again, so that it doesn't have to work hard in there with the flour and the butter. Yeah, everyone agrees with me. Yep. No zips allowed in lockdown. Someone said if we wore like a swimming costume or bathers in lockdown around the house, we would eat less, and it's probably true. Who wants to do that? Or jeans. Oh, they don't fit anyway. All right, so Jane says, with the motor running, turn it on. Just put in the liquid. Now, I find that it's pretty much impossible to over-process pastry, because what will happen is it starts to form a ball and it just goes around and around, okay? If your butter's soft, you can easily over-process it, but if your butter is cold, like mine is, it's fine. So Jake Goldberg, who happens to be my son, has just come on and said, what am I making? Well, Jake, who's upstairs, actually, in his room, working. Jake, I'm making wagon wheels. Do you like them? I made them a couple of weeks ago, remember? Yeah, well, Deb, I'm glad you've got your good leggings on. I've also got my good leggings on today. I'll lift my leg up and show you. Yeah, they're really nice, like tiger pattern. Very nice. Lululemon ones. Very happy with these. They're so comfy. All right. So let's keep going. And it may seem to take ages, but honestly, it's just going to come together in a minute. We're going to have a beautiful biscuit. I can see that it's starting to get... Every so often I stop it and just give it a pulse, just to bring everything up from the bottom. But that's it, okay? It's going to come together. Don't just take 30 seconds. Feels like ages standing here watching it, but look, you can see. Okay. See, it's just starting to come together now. I want to show you this. See, it's in bits already, but it just needs another minute, okay? Yum. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. Oh, happy birthday, Sue. Sue dressed up because it's her birthday. Happy birthday, Sue, from all of us here. We're making wagon wheels. All right, here we go. I'm happy with this. Just about. Okay, it's just going round in circles now. Have a yummy, delicious. All right. Now, let's talk about resting for a minute. I'm not talking about you and me going to have a rest, although I did say to my walking friend this morning that I could just get back into bed today and just stay there for the whole day and watch telly or something and do no cooking. But then, once I got out in the sun and, you know, all of that, feel much better. All right, so the dough needs to rest. So every time you make a pastry, it needs to rest. It makes it not tough. Sometimes the dough is too soft to roll, so the fridge helps firm it up. The recipe calls for it resting for an hour. We just don't have an hour today, Jane, so you know what? We're not going to rest it for an hour. And I think that what we can do is, I have a plan, okay? This is my plan. I'm just getting the dough out. It's actually yum and perfect. I could have processed it a tiny bit more. It's so yummy. Let me just put this away. But you know what? It's fine. Okay, so I've got a lovely smooth dough. I'm not kneading it a lot. I'm just bringing it together so that it's nice and smooth. You could process it till it's a beautiful ball around the dough hook. That's actually what I normally do. Okay, so this dough needs to rest in the fridge, but honestly, you could roll it out now. It's so lovely, but I do want to rest it a little bit. Can you taste it and tell me if you think it's good? I do. What I'm going to do is cut it in half, because we're going to roll half at a time, okay? And we're going to, let me just get a knife. I'm just going to cut it in half, okay? And this is really lovely dough that could roll out straight away. So as Jane said, it could just rest on the bench, but I'm happy to put it in the fridge for a few minutes that we've got, and we do have time. But I'm going to do it in two sections so that one of them will roll first and the other one can keep chilling. And you can judge whether you notice a difference in either how to roll it or how it tastes as a biscuit. And I don't know that you'll notice a huge amount of difference, as long as it has some resting time, okay? So I've wrapped up in plastic wrap 2 discs. It just makes it easier to roll out. If you do it in a big ball, it just, you know, and that way there's more surface area for it to chill. So I'm going to put those in, actually, one in the freezer, which is just going to be there for 10 minutes, and the other one in the fridge, which is going to be there for longer till we've finished the first batch. I'll explain if I'm confusing you, don't worry. One in the freezer, one in the fridge, and then come back, okay? Okay, I'll just get rid of my things here, clean up this mess, this out of the way. Okay. So that's step one. That's probably the hardest part of the day, is the pastry. I'm just going to move you over here for a second because we can get to the bench now, and that's better. All right. Just tidy up because we're going to have to roll out the dough in a minute. Let's just talk about the rest of the ingredients. Just keep an eye on the time. So it's 11:45, and we'll probably be, I'll be happy to roll that dough that's in the freezer in about 15 minutes. I think that's a good shortcut. It chills it, it's resting, and it'll be ready to roll. Let's just talk about the rest of the ingredients before I talk to Jane. Jane in her book makes the marshmallow, and I think it's a fantastic thing to do. I'm not going to do it today because, which reason shall I give you? I just don't want to do it. So just don't feel like making marshmallow. Is that bad? No, I just want to buy marshmallow and use it, because I realise that if you just buy marshmallows, and I don't like the pink ones, I only like the white ones, and we put them in the microwave for a few seconds, it just melts, and you just spread it on the biscuit, and it's just a great shortcut. But what I would do actually is get this book, okay, and learn how to make marshmallow. I might do that one day, because I think making your own is quite a challenge and quite an exciting thought. Just not today, okay? So today we are using bought marshmallows, and let's talk about jam. So I have a really good idea. I think it's a good idea with jam. When I used to make hamantaschen, which are those triangular pastries for the festival of Purim, and put regular jam from a jar in it, they always leaked out onto the tray, and it's a big mess, and it's too liquidy and whatever. And I thought, well, what if you actually take a jar of your favourite jam, which like a Bon Maman raspberry, and put it in a saucepan and boil it down and reduce it by about 1/8. So not a huge amount, it's about 15 minutes worth of simmering. Cool the jam. What you get is an amazing thick jam that I absolutely love. And this one, it just becomes like, not quite a jelly, but you can see. Try that with ordinary jam and you cannot do that. And that is beautiful for filling donuts, filling hamantaschen, and I think it's going to be perfect for these wagon wheels as well. So that's what I'm using, thickened jam. Yum. So I've got that ready. And then, of course, to coat the biscuit, we're going to need chocolate and Copha. And some people go Copha ooh, but chocolate crackles, come on, we love that. I've always got a block of Copha in the fridge. I don't use it often, but I was very excited to see that it was in Jane's recipe. I'm like, yay, I can use that Copha I've had in my fridge for God knows how long. If you're anti-Copha and don't want to use it, you can use solid coconut oil. I wonder also if you could just, if you leave it out, your chocolate is just going to be very matte and it's going to crack a bit, and it doesn't matter. So you could also put a teaspoon of vegetable oil in with your chocolate. I saw that the other day on a cooking show sometime. I can't remember who it was, who put some oil in their chocolate, and it just made it actually stopped it from cracking when you cut the top. Oh, I'll tell you what it was. It was Donna Hay in her caramel slice. Sometimes you watch Instagram reels and you just get lost and you just keep watching and watching and watching. And I got onto Donna Hay and I was watching her make all these things, which is quite lovely. Yeah, Esther's using the donut jam, the jam for donuts that we made the other day. Great. So we'll do that in a bit. Okay, so for the next, we've got like, let's talk to Jane now and have a chat about her book, and then we'll roll our biscuit dough out. And then we've got to bake the biscuit dough, and we'll have to have a chat about something else while they're baking. They take 10 minutes to bake. Put your oven on now at 180. Okay? So, is that right? Let me just check. Yep, 180. Okay, that's 180 Celsius, conventional temperature. If you've got a fan force, maybe 165. And we'll have a chat to Jane now, if I can work out how to do this. Just bear with me. All right. Yes, oven on, Naomi, oven on 180 Celsius, okay? You'll also need a baking tray and a baking paper. And we're just going to roll out half the batch and make 12 small circles. I've also made smaller ones than Jane's done, because Jane's are authentic from the original, which were big. But I think in these times when we're all trying to, well, I don't know. I was going to say we're all trying to fit into the jeans that we're not wearing, but we're not. But smaller ones, I think, are better at the moment. And then you can put some in a bag and give them to your friends and neighbours as well. So that's the aim behind making more. Get this ready. We'll need that shortly. We'll get all the rest ready after they're in the oven. Okay, so let me see how we go here. I think it's that button. Let me see. If I can find Jane, here we are. Oh my God, this might work. And I've known Jane for a long time now, and I'm very excited to have her on.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but not very well, but I can't see. Oh, there you are.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Jane.
Oh, hello. Oh my God, we haven't done this before either.
You're in and out a bit, your internet perhaps.
It might be because I've actually got you on. Okay, is that better? You're in and out too, I think.
Have you got a better spot or a better thing you can do with your internet? While Jane's sorting that out, I want to just tell you that I met Jane. Some of you heard this the other day. I met Jane in about 2008 or 9. When we were trying to publish our first book, and we saw Jane. She was the publisher at Murdoch Books, and she did beautiful work. And we spent probably 9 months talking to Jane till they said no.
Which had nothing to do with
Jane. Anyway, we've been friends ever since, and Jane helped us with our pitch to HarperCollins. And I've been in touch with Jane over the years, and she's a great cookbook author and runs these amazing tours to Japan. If anyone's ever going to leave Australia again and wants to go to Japan, Jane is the one to get in touch with. Jane, I don't think the internet's good. I don't think it's working here. Is there anything you can do to get a better connection with me?
No, because can you hear me?
Not properly.
No, hang on. I'll just move.
Okay. In the meantime, I'll just tell you. So this is Jane's book. I know it's backwards, sorry, but it's called Milk Bar Memories, published, unsurprisingly, by Murdoch Books. And it's fantastic. I love it. It took me right back. It's got all these recipes that that take us back to the Australian milk bar. For those of you who grew up in Melbourne, I do remember there was a milk bar in Toorak Village that was absolutely fantastic. They had all the mixed lollies that you went in and you bought, you know, they were 1 cent each. Bananas were 2 cents though, and you used to go and order them. Okay, so can you all hear Jane's? Am I the only one who can't hear Jane's audio?
Can anyone hear me? There's nothing I can do.
Can anyone hear Jane? Rob says he can.
Well,
So
I'll
it
just
might
talk
just
to
be me. Yeah, Rob and I had a chat the other day. Okay, Jane. All right.
Sorry.
So, Jane, I'm going to hand over to you. Tell us about your book and how that idea came about.
Well, hopefully people can hear me, or I'm just talking to myself. It's all right. Well, you know, actually, it was about 10 years before I wrote this book that I wrote a book called Grub, which was about sort of the memories of your childhood that maybe your mum or your grandma used to make for you. And which kind of, maybe that's why we connected. I don't know. Because, you know, having that sort of food is really important to me. That sort of memory food and the food that make you feel good and reminds you of a time that was a lot maybe easier, particularly from now, and a lot more gentler and fun. And you know, when you saved up your pennies to go up the shops and buy a bag of mixed lollies and things. So I think after I wrote Grub, which really contained that homey food, it took me 10 years to decide to do the book where it was more about the naughty stuff that you might have on the weekend, the wagon wheels or the, you know, hamburgers or the fish and chips or the meat pies or the musk sticks and things like that. So, and as you know, the potato scallops. So and that really was just a continuation of that wonderful memories. And I talk about those things in the book as well, about why that particular food is, you know, I'm particularly fond of. And yeah, I don't know, they're recipes I think we need to have, particularly as Australians. You know, they're real Australian memories.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, I wish you would add, and I haven't, have you got, you know what I want you to have in the book, and I don't think I saw it, is it Eskimo pie?
No, I don't. You know, there are so many things, of course, I would have loved to have put in the book, but you can only fit so much, as you know, in a book. That's why you have to keep making new books.
I know. Do you remember the Eskimo pie and the triple treat?
I love the triple treat. That was one that had the pink in the middle, right?
Yeah, it had marshmallow, ice cream, and chocolate, I think.
I love that. And that's one that I talk about that most people don't remember, so showing your age. I love that. And I also love there was another one that had like peppermint. You know, peppermint crisp has those little mint crispy bits in it. There was a round one, like a big, massive drumstick that had dark chocolate and those crispy bits of peppermint around it, and I loved that as well. But no one remembers it.
Yum. I remember when we are showing our age, I know that, but I remember when Streets brought out the first heart with blue ribbon ice cream. Remember, blue ribbon was like a new thing, and they made a heart, and it was way before Magnum time, and it was just the best ice cream. I used to love those ice creams so much. It's so nice to go back to those. Yeah. Can you tell everybody where they can get this book?
Look, someone actually contacted me, I think one of your guests or one of your followers the other day, to ask me because they couldn't find it in the shops or online. I'm not sure why, whether they've sold out or, you know, it's been out for quite a while now. But I do have some copies, I think, here. I don't know how many, but I'm going to send her one. And that if anyone wants to buy one from me directly, you can just send them to, they can contact me through my Instagram or email me through Zenbu Home or Zenbu Tours. So it's easy enough to find me, and I'm happy to post you one out. And I think it's $40 for, if I can find, depends on how many I can find. $40 for the book and for the postage, because it costs to send things out from here. So as you would know.
Oh, that's great. So get in touch with Jane Lawson Food on Instagram, and she'll help you. But it's really, I bought it when it came out, which was when? I'm just going to try look at the year.
Oh, God.
2016.
2016, was it? Gosh, that's easy.
So not so long ago, 5 years ago.
Oh,
but it's actually such a great book. And I keep going back to it. And now that I mean, I don't know about you. No, I'm sure you're the same as me. I have a billion cookbooks, okay? Like so many, and so many that I don't even open. I get them, I look and I go, oh, love it or don't love it or whatever. And then I put them away and rarely get them out. And then always have like a couple favorites. But this one is one that it's just unique because no one else covers this stuff. And
No,
particularly
I went there.
now, this is the stuff we want to go back to. I mean, I want to go back to. I want to make everything in this book. I just want you to know that. And it's just beautifully put together. You know, I told them all, I think before you came on, or maybe when you were on, that you went, the time that you were at Murdoch Books, the books that were being produced were unbelievable. I mean, we wanted to be published so much by Murdoch back in those days, and we looked at your books with such, you know, book envy and like, oh, these books are so beautiful. And this book is an example of a really, really well put together book, and I love it. I just want to make everything. Where does Ben go next? I wonder.
That's so sweet of you to say that. And, you know, your books for me, I love having your books because I know if I want to find a really good version of, you know, X, Y, Z, I'm going to look in your book and in one of your books and I'm going to find it. And the recipe is beautiful. And because I know how much effort goes into it and what you guys do and how much you give back also, you know, from the beginning, I instantly, when I met you, I wanted to publish a book. And as you know, it takes a team, unfortunately, to make these decisions. And while I was pushing and pushing and pushing for a long time and knew that you would do so very well with them, of course, I knew that it was in my gut that you were going to do really well. That, you know, it's just a shame things happen and some people don't make the right decisions. And, you know, it's a whole new world. That company doesn't even exist really anymore, you know, as it did. So, yeah, that was a big shame. But anyway, not for you. Really
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no. You know, that's the truth. I want people to know.
It's a shame we never did it together.
Sorry? What did you say?
It's a shame we never did it together, but you know what? At least we can hang out together now on Instagram.
Right.
Jennifer's got a question for you. Which recipe in your book is your favourite?
Oh, gosh. Honestly, there are so many things in there that I love, and I obviously don't cook all the time because, you know, it just was not be safe. But actually, there's a really good. So, do you remember the hot chicken rolls that we used to have? And there's a chicken burger in there. I love them, and the pies, and I love the scallops you did the other day. The mustics are like the best mustics you've ever had. They're just better than the ones you can get now.
Oh, that's what I'm going to make.
But again, just
with all, I don't even know how I wouldn't even know where to start. Let's have a look.
They're not hard.
They're not hard, but something. Really? How do you get them to be that shape? Like, that's what I wouldn't have any idea about.
Star nozzle pipe. It's easy. You will find them.
Wow. Look, let's have a look at this. Look.
Yeah.
They look amazing.
They're really easy.
You know what? Mustics.
The only thing...
It's got gelatin, liquid glucose. Yeah.
The only thing is that it comes down to weather when you're working with sugar. As you know, it can really affect the product. So if you're doing it on a particularly humid or damp day, they can take, or even a particularly cold day, they can not set up so well. So they might need to go for a few days before they've set fully. So just be really aware of that. And sometimes if it's too humid, they just won't get to the proper firmness. But they'll still taste good.
Okay, so the only thing that people need that they're going to have to find is gelatin sheets. Liquid glucose is now easy. I remember back in the day when I first started making brittle and stuff, liquid glucose, you had to go to the chemist to get it. And it was really hard to find, but now it's in the cooking aisle, which is great. And good quality musk essence. Would that be a supermarket thing?
No, actually, unless that's changed. No, actually, I got it online at a cake decorating place. And I think that's probably the best okay. Have a look online. A lot of people have found it difficult to get, but I have, coaxed people through it. They now have. You don't need such a small amount. Once you buy a bottle, you've got it forever. So unless you go into business making mustards.
Yeah. It's good to see Taxi Mary has made them, and she said they're awesome, fantastic.
Great.
Do you use rose water? No, there's no rose water in this
No,
recipe.
just the musk. But you could, if you didn't have
Mm-mm.
musk, you could certainly use rose water or even peppermint if you like peppermint. You know, the thought of the peppermint instead of musk sticks. Any essence really. You don't even have to musk at all
Yeah,
if you don't.
yeah. I think I'm going to give them a go. I'm going to give
Yeah,
them a
do
go.
that.
And then so you pipe them with a piping bag to get that
Yeah.
shape, those lined things.
Yeah.
They look absolutely, I'm going to show you again. They look so good. I'm going to give them a go next week.
Yeah.
Although next week's salad week, so maybe not next week, maybe the week after. After eating potato scallops, I've had donuts on Sunday, potato scallops on Wednesday, meat pies yesterday, and wagon wheels today. So next week is a salad week for me. We're going to do salads every morning, every day here, just to get healthy for 1 week before we go back into lockdown eating. I think that's the plan.
You have the Grub that has some salads. I sent it to you. Did you hear that?
Which book?
Grub, the first book, like the one that I wrote about, you know, family kind of food family ate when you were younger. I'll do that and send it to you because, yeah, that's got
Beautiful.
Some salads, but not many. I prefer to eat potato
How many books have you written? How many books have you written, Jane?
About 10, I think. Probably not as many as you.
Is that all?
Yeah, that's all.
I've only written 4. And there's a group of us. So, per person per book, we're way down on you. Because you're doing it on your own and you've written 10. It's amazing. Everyone should just Google Jane Lawson, Cookbook Author Australia, and see all the books. I've got your beautiful one from, what was it called? Winter in...
Snowflakes and Schnapps.
Yes.
Snowflakes.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
Snowflakes and Schnapps. Love that one. Really love that one.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, I think we're ready to roll. Are you happy to stay on? Are you happy to stay on, or will I
whatever you like. I can just tap it.
Will we say goodbye to you?
If I need to ask.
I'm happy for you to stay on. I'm happy if you're happy to stay on.
Sure.
You can give me some tips and we'll get them and we'll start rolling them. And then we can chat a bit more when they're in the oven, okay?
Great. I'll just watch
If you're happy to do that, we'll just carry on. I'm just gonna get the dough from the freezer.
And while Lisa's not here, I can just talk to you all. And I can see your messages coming through, but there's quite a few. And just to let you know that I will get back to all of you after I finish chatting with Lisa. So thank you.
Okay, so it's been in the freezer. It's actually quite cold. And maybe the one from the fridge is going to be better. So I'm going to put the freezer one aside. No, I can actually do this, and I can just go down to the bench, and you can see what I'm doing that way. So that'll be good. Okay, Danny, can you guys see that? Okay. So interestingly, I found the one from the freezer too hard, so I'm going to go ahead with the one from the fridge, and I think it'll be fine. I think it's had a nice rest, and I think it's happy. And I'm just going to roll this out. So let's just think about the quantity here. So we're making 24 biscuits, which is 12 in each piece. So this is half the mixture, and I just want to cut 12 out of this. Okay, I've got my oven on 180, and I'm just going to flour my bench. I've got my rolling pin, and I'm going to roll it out. Okay, if you hear those noises in the background, that is Janny walking past and moaning about something or other. Yeah, it's very hard to remember that we're on Instagram Live here. And I'm just rolling it out. It rolls out absolutely beautifully, I should say. Okay. So yeah, I was looking up at the screen, and look what happened. You see, there's two. I cannot read and roll. Do not read and roll. Okay, it doesn't work. It's like drinking and driving. Not allowed. All right, so let's try again. That was a very poor effort at rolling. Now I've got holes in my pastry, my dough. All right, rolling out really nicely. Make sure that it is not sticking to the bench. And sometimes I get out my big palette knife just to make sure it's not. There's a bit of flour underneath. And remember, so we want it to be about 4 millimeters, says Jane, and I think I've probably gone, yeah, it's probably 3 to 4. You need a cookie cutter, and I'm using one that's 4 centimeters, which is really small because I want little ones, okay? So let's just cut them out. The scraps can be reused. It's not like puff pastry yesterday where it's impossible to use it well. This is easy. I would gather them into a ball and just let them sit on the bench and re-rest after rolling, okay? So just like this. And I don't mind them being a bit thicker than a normal fine butter biscuit because we're making something with substance going to be coated in chocolate. It's, I've got them about, yeah, that's probably about 4 millimeters. I think you said 4 in the book. So let's see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many did I say I needed? I needed 12. So that's going to be, so because I'm using such a small cookie cutter, I'm going to get more. If you use a bigger one, obviously you'll get less. If you use a bigger cookie cutter, you'll get less circles and less biscuits, and it's really up to you, okay? So let's have 4, 8, 12, 16, okay? So I've got 16 rolls, 16 circles, and I'm just going to set the rest of the scraps aside for the moment because I don't need them.
Looks
I'm going
good.
to put them on my tray. They look nice. It's such lovely dough. It rolls so nicely, and it tastes delicious too. Are you a dough eater?
Not really. Sometimes. Depends on the dough. Cookie dough in ice cream.
Okay, so now I'm going to lift these up, and sometimes you might need to do it like this, but like this. So I'm just putting them onto the tray, and I'm going to bake them for 10 minutes in my 180-degree oven. And they're not really going to spread too much, but put them about 1 centimetre apart. They don't have a rising agent in them, so I wouldn't expect them, but they will expand a bit as the butter heats up, as the layers form and all that. These look really nice. You can see it's just the loveliest dough. There's only one on the bench that's stuck. And I'll just get this up like that. Okay. Oh. It's very hard on Instagram Live because there's such a small space to show people what's going on. So there you go. That looks lovely. Into the oven, 10 minutes. Okay. That's it. So I'm just going to put the scraps like this, and I'm just going to set them aside. And they're going to sit on the bench, and I'm going to re-roll them a bit later. If you guys are cooking along, you can go ahead as we're chatting, and you can roll out the rest of yours. And we'll just get the rest of the ingredients ready in a second. All right, I've got plenty of time. I haven't put my timer on now, which I need to do. Let me get my timer. Okay, 10 minutes and counting. All right, so everything's ready to go for the next stage. There's nothing to do. The chocolate doesn't need to be melted just yet because that's a last minute thing. So what chocolate? So in your recipe, Jane, you've got half dark and half milk chocolate. And I'm going for all dark now because I'm not a milk chocolate fan. Now that I'm old, I find that I don't like sweet things as much. So I want to have less, not less sugar, but a less sweet chocolate. So what's your reason for doing half in this?
Because of the memory of the flavour for me. So I didn't want to use pure milk chocolate. I kind of go between the two. Like I like dark and I like milk, but probably more these days it tends to be dark. But I didn't want it to be too light. It was the flavour. So the mixing, I'm actually mixed the chocolate at different ratios until I found exactly what I wanted as far as the flavour was concerned. And the colour too. I wanted the colour to be right. Again, in honour of the memory of the original Wagon Wheels. That was my thinking behind that. And when I tasted it, was like, that was the flavour that I wanted. So that's why. But you can use whatever you like. And I think also, for me, using that
Yeah.
cherry jam with the dark chocolate or something, or a milk chocolate with like a hazelnut spread filling. There's all sorts of things that you could do. It's just, use your imagination and just do it to your palate and what your favourite, flavours are.
Yeah. And I guess, do you agree with me? I said it the other day, that I think the wagon wheels now don't taste like they used to.
Like most things, like most products. And I guess, they go through different companies, obviously, either, buying them out and changing the recipe, or, maybe they out of a particular ingredient, they can't source that anymore. I have a friend who makes a mass market product, and she has problems all the time because, different companies go out of business, so they've got to change, their flour maker or whatever. So I think those things, and also I'm assuming that over time they've made them smaller and to make them more sort of cost effective and but definitely flavors of many things don't taste like they used to taste, but also our palates are probably less sophisticated.
I wonder how much it is how our palate changes and how much it is that the thing changes. I used to love picnics. That used to be my chocolate bar of choice. For those who are not from Australia, it's a chocolate bar with peanuts and puffed rice, I think, and chocolate and
caramel,
nougat maybe, or I don't know. And it was like you took a bite and it was really hard to chew, and even the ad reflected the fact that it was really hard to chew. Remember the ad about they were being attacked from somewhere, and he had taken a bite of the thing and he couldn't talk because whatever. So I had a picnic probably 5 years ago, and it was like, it's just nothing. It's just got no substance anymore, and I was just so disappointed. So I think you're right. I think they've changed it. Cost cutting.
We should probably be a little bit careful about what we say about commercial products.
Angie says that paddle pops are gross now. Really? I haven't had one for years. I used to love a chocolate paddle pop.
Well, there's one in the book. I didn't call it that because
there's one in the book.
Actually, you'll find lots of things hidden in the book that don't have the name. So you have to be a little bit determined, because for legal reasons we didn't call them particular things like wagon wheels. They're not called wagon wheels in the book, but we try and give a hint.
What are they called?
No, I can't
I didn't
remember.
even notice. Do you know that? Really?
Yeah, but we know them, right? Instantly you knew they were a wagon wheel. So yeah, but legally we didn't call them anything like
what
that.
What did you call them? Oh, Wonder Wheels. I didn't even
Wonder
notice.
Wheels. Yeah. And there's actually lots of stuff in the book. People go, oh, why didn't you put this in the book? I'm like, I actually did. Have a look again, but it'll be called something else. So,
I know that what I'm doing this afternoon is going through the book again. And I've got a friend who loves musk sticks, and I want to try. I've got to find musk essence, so I'm going to try those. What was the passion fruit split? Was that an ice cream or a splice?
Splice.
No. What's a passion fruit split?
Fruit split? That's not. I don't know. I just remember the splice. I don't remember passion fruit split. But do you know mango bars? Do you know mango wheat bars?
Yes.
There is. If you look in the book, that they exist in the book, also not under that name.
Okay.
And also Gay Time, that everyone has copied and called Gay Time. I'm not sure how they've managed to do that, but that's also in there, not under that name. So you'll find, if you look closely, I'm sure you'll find. Also,
I'll tell you what I love that they've stopped making is Jupiter bars.
Oh yeah, with the sesame, I was obsessed with them. It's the caramelly kind of.
I was obsessed with them at school too, and I inquired a few years ago. I wanted to send them to a bunch of people for a birthday thing that I was doing, and they didn't have Jupiter bars anymore, so I had to my second choice was summer roll.
Yeah, because they started making summer rolls again, right?
Yeah, summer rolls they're making. Honey nougat logs they still make, but Jupiter bars, we need to find a recipe actually for Jupiter bars, because I think that would be a good thing to make at home. It's just caramel and sesame. I don't know what's in it.
Slightly fudgy kind of fudgy but chewy caramel. Look, it would be easy enough to replicate.
All right, Jane, that's your job. That's your job for the next 3 months, is to make a Jupiter bar.
Jupiter bar. All right. Well, I have got peanut brittle in there. So, like, you obviously have your own recipe, but I do suggest coating it in chocolate. So there you got your scorched peanut bar as well.
Yeah.
And do you remember cobbers? Well, we call them cobbers here, but I think because you're from Melbourne, they were called mates or
Were
they're
they the
like a
caramels with the chocolate? Little caramel
yeah,
squares? Yeah, I
yeah,
remember them. Yeah.
yeah. So they're in
Yum.
there as well, and also
What about
caramel. I love.
clinkers?
Sorry,
Clinkers?
I didn't do clinkers because I wasn't really sure how to get that filling, that particular kind of,
Oh,
I
I
don't know.
loved clinkers, but I hated the green ones, and you couldn't tell
Yeah,
till you took a bite. So I used to
that,
bite. No, no.
yeah.
Tell me how did you work out the recipes? Like, where do you start with some of them? Like, I'm sure with some things, you can work it out. It's ice cream, it's topping, but like something like whatever. Was there something that was really hard to work out how to make it? Did you ever go to the manufacturer?
And sometimes I looked at what the ingredients were. Like there's, for example, there's my version of a Chico roll, which I couldn't call a Chico roll. And I had a look, went way back into kind of historical kind of records about what was actually in it and what was it was originally made from and why it was made and all that sort of stuff. So sometimes if I'm not sure exactly what's in it, I will really I'm always going to research it, but some things are just really from memory. And I have what I
Yeah,
call a strong palate memory, which you obviously do as well. And I think as long as you can remember the taste and the texture and the smell,
yeah,
and then you can recreate it. And not everyone feels comfortable doing that, but because I've been working with food for so
yeah,
long, and
yeah,
as you do kind of know what's probably going to work and what's probably not going to work. So there's a bit of test,
yeah,
particularly with the sweet recipes. They were the things I've tested more in my life than anything else. The confectionery, because sugar does it, has a life of its own. So there's a lot of work went into making sure those recipes were right. So
yeah.
yeah, so no one has to go through that again. But yeah, it's really about memory. Really, it's the first thing. I just need to
Yeah.
have a very memory of what that was. So
But it's memory, and also having the skill and the ability to work out how to create something from scratch
sure,
sometimes is probably hard. I was trying to make something. Oh yeah, so last week I was trying to make the strawberry tart from Fleischer's Patisserie in
yes,
Melbourne,
yeah,
and I
delicious.
was thinking, last time I ate it was 30 plus years ago, and I still remember it so well, like it was
Yeah,
not last week, but maybe a couple years ago, and um, really, that the memory. And so when I made it last week, and it wasn't exactly the same, but it was close enough to make me go, yes, it's just
yeah,
such a great, great thing. And I see
and
that
also
they're making bringing the poly waffle back.
yeah,
In which is amazing for those I would
yeah,
never loved the poly waffle, I've got to be honest. Never loved it.
no,
Just like,
no,
what was it? Marshmallow, wafer, and chocolate. Like a bit
yeah,
airy,
but
no
it's quite
substance,
hard. Like it was get to the marshmallow. You're crunching through this big, quite sturdy kind of wafer chocolate log. I think they weren't
Just gonna
bad.
have a look at my biscuits. They're going really nicely. Um,
Good.
I'll tell you what I love that's in your book that I also want to make is sherbet. Does everyone remember those packets? You used to buy the packets with the
Yeah,
licorice,
yeah.
with the licorice in it, and then you used to lick the sherbet off. Do they make those anymore? I don't think so.
I think they do, but maybe not under the same name. I'm not sure, and not with the licorice straw or whatever in them, maybe. But it's so easy to make, and kids love it. Like as we used to love birthday parties, kids
That's
love
my
them.
time. I'm just going to have a look at my biscuits. What do you think? Do you want them a bit browner than that?
Maybe a little bit longer.
Okay, I'm just going to put them in a couple more minutes.
Just a couple. It's
Guys,
weird. It's like
we're going to be here for hours today. So you know what? Just hang with us. We won't really. I'm going to put those in for 3 more minutes. And then the next step's pretty quick and easy. So all we're doing is letting them cool a bit. I'm trying to think. They don't have to cool completely today. I mean, if I was making them at home, I'd want them to cool. But we're putting jam in them and marshmallow, which is already melted. So it doesn't matter if they're going to be a bit hot. They're just going to be a bit hard to handle and hard to dip into the chocolate. But I think we'll just proceed to show you.
yeah, just to get the idea.
Keeping in mind that it's not the ideal. You'd want your biscuit to completely cool before we go to the next step. But otherwise,
Yeah.
you'll be here with me till 2 o'clock, and that's probably too much. You'll want to go and eat lunch and, do whatever you have to do, get back to work, all that sort of stuff. Jane, are you working on any books at the moment, or is it now just Japan, Japan, Japan for you?
Yeah, sorry, I just had to plug you in because I was about to run out of thing. I'm not working on any books at the moment. I often think about doing that, and but you know, got to get a. I don't know. It takes a long time, as you know, and if you've got other stuff on, it's quite hard. They're long projects. And look, you know, I did. I don't know if you can still see me. I did those 10 and thought that was a kind of good number to stop on. But look, if the right thing came up, yeah, I mean, I'd certainly like to do some more. I would like to do some more Japanese stuff, actually. Sort of following up on Zenbuzen and Yoshoku and a little taste of Japan, but something that's more regional and just really so I can go. It's a really good excuse to go there and do some more research and spend a long time, traveling around Japan, which I'd always loved doing. So, yeah, if I do something, it'll probably be that. But then because I've been baking a lot at home recently, like everyone else, and I don't know if you saw, I made those like Venetian cookies the other day, or my version of a Venetian cookie, which my mum loves and my husband, they've gone. We did big ones of those because my husband requested them to be massive, and they have all but one gone, I think. And I think there's so many things like that I'm sort of playing with, and Mum's like, are you doing a new book? And I'm like, I don't know, but yeah, maybe after speaking with you, I have to go and do a Jupiter bar and Venetian and go back and do Milk Bar Memory, The Return or something. Yeah, add more things to it. So if anyone's got any ideas, any things they really want, I actually worked out in my head how to do a Redskin. So I was like,
I was thinking about that. I used to love Redskins too. They're not called Redskins anymore, though, are they?
Oh no, sorry, that's very politically incorrect.
No, but it's not. It's not. That's what they were called when we grew up, because they're red and they're nothing to do with anything else. No. There's a message there from Lisa. She says, Jane can highly recommend the Kumano Kodo.
Yes, I'm not a hiker, I will have but I have walked a little part of it because there are some beautiful towns, post towns that you would know. Sorry, who was it that said? Who was it?
Lisa.
That said? Lisa, different Lisa. I was going to say Lisa, and I'm like, no. As you would know, Lisa, if you've done the Komodo Trail, there's some beautiful little traditional villages in between, and I have visited some of those and walked around them. But yeah, sadly, I worry I'll get stuck and eaten by a bear somewhere along the track. Now I've lost Lisa. Are you back?
Oh, I'm back. Something happened. I pressed the wrong button. I just want to show you the biscuits are out. They're golden now, and they're lovely. Beautiful. They're really lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to pop them on a tray, on a rack, just so that they get, they are hot. Just so that they firm up a tiny bit. It only takes a couple minutes. Oh, they're so hot.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly hot since they've just come out of the oven. But sometimes I feel like I've got asbestos fingers because I can touch hot things like this.
Typical
okay,
chef.
So biscuits are looking lovely. Very, very happy. I mean, maybe I could have gone a bit thicker, actually. I feel like perhaps I've made them a bit too thin.
No, once you've added your layers of stuff, once you've added your layer of like marshmallow and stuff, they actually, you don't want to be thick.
Now what I'm going to do is turn half of them upside down, okay? This is the way I'm going to do it, just because it's just the way my mind worked. And perhaps Jane's recipe gives you different instructions. I can't recall, but this is the way I'm going to do it. Every time I fill a biscuit, I do it like this. We've got these great Romany creams in the latest book. Again, when I'm ready to fill them, I turn half of them upside down, put the filling on the upside down one, and then just pop the top on, and then you've got your little sandwich. So starting to get ready, I'm going to also just shift this across and put on some water to boil, because I want to heat the Copha and chocolate on the stove. Jane gives really good instructions in her book you need a bowl that's going to fit on top of it like this. The water can't touch the bowl, and it has to fit snugly. It's not so hard. It's just I'm using a Pyrex heat-proof bowl, a small saucepan of water, and I'm going to bring that to the boil because I want to melt the chocolate in the Copha so that it's dippable, okay? And I don't know if that's a word. I used it the other day, and it's becoming now a word I use obviously regularly. So I want it to be dippable chocolate, all right? So that's on. The flame is on high because I'm bringing it to the boil, and then once it boils, I'll turn it down to medium so that it slowly starts to melt it together. And like, I mean, in most cases when you're working with chocolate and biscuits or pastries or whatever, you don't want to melt the hell out of it, right? It doesn't need to be fully liquid. It just needs to be melted enough to dip something in or spoon onto something. Okay, so these biscuits are already getting hard. They weren't hard a minute ago. They're now lovely. And if I broke it, which I don't want to, it would be a bit snappy. And now I'm going to get my jam. I'm just going to make sure you can see all this, and my marshmallows. Now, you know what? I've got to be honest. I'm winging it with the marshmallows. I did it the other day when I made them for the first time, and it worked. I don't remember how long I microwaved them for, but I'm going to put them in for 10 seconds to start it with and see how we go. Because if I overdo it, I can't undo it, okay? I've got a knife here, and I estimated that if I'm making 12 sandwiches, you know what? They're already melted inside. 10 seconds in the microwave.
You just don't want it to be too runny, otherwise, so that's perfect.
Right. And I because mine is smaller, I'm probably going to use a third of a marshmallow, like this. And I'm not sure, and it's probably better to do the marshmallow first, and I'm just going to spread it, just like that. Okay? What do you think of that, Jane? I know you do marshmallow from scratch in your book, but are you okay with this?
Well, the reason I do it from scratch is actually so you can get that particular thickness without it being runny or whatever. So I think you need, to get a really good flavour and to get that mouthfeel, you need to have a decent layer of marshmallow. So I would put more on than you're putting. So that's why I make the marshmallow and put it in a tray, and then I cut out rounds of marshmallow that I think are about a centimetre thick or something. So that's, for me, is why I did it that way. But what you're doing is perfectly fine. I just want to make sure that once you've got, that you end up having enough marshmallow on, so when you bite into it, you've got that crunch, but then you've got that lovely layer of marshmallow as well as the sweetness of the jam.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I've got. If you want to melt the marshmallow on the stove, I would actually do it in a double boiler as well, because it melts in about 2 seconds, okay? And it goes molten inside so quickly that I would want to do it quickly. Then I'm going to take the jam, and I'm just going to do 4 to show you. Again, my thick jam. And what you could also do, and it may be better, and I'm sort of winging it as I go along, is actually spread the jam on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, like that. And it's nice and thick, and then I'm popping it on top. You could just splodge it on the top of the marshmallow, but I think this gets it from edge to edge, which is what we want. Okay? If you don't have thick jam, that's fine. Regular jam is okay.
Can I say, Lisa, too, that one of the reasons, and I know it obviously takes a lot longer when you're making a marshmallow as well, but the marshmallow is easy to do. You'll be surprised once you start playing with it. But what I really liked about it is that you can make it any flavour you want. So it means that once you master the recipe, you can then go and play with whatever flavour marshmallow you could possibly need in your personalised wagon wheel.
Yeah. Okay, so there I've made 4 sandwiches, as I like to call them, like this. Yum. You could just eat it like that, honestly, without the chocolate. It's just delicious. The marshmallow will, of course, get hard again. And my jam is squishing out a bit, but that's okay because the biscuits are warm. So it's better if your biscuits aren't warm. Let's have a look at the chocolate. I'll move you over here a bit. And I love the smell of Copha. It reminds me of my childhood and chocolate crackles. Yum, yum, yum. So again, Jane uses half, and that's in the recipe I've given you, half dark, half milk and Copha. And because, personal preference, I'm just using dark today. Although my kids are going to complain, I'm sure they would prefer half-half. But anyway, so as soon as it's dippable, which is going to be in a second, okay, I'm going to turn this off now. And I'm going to take it off the heat, because what happens, whenever it's very hot, obviously. Whenever you melt something, like chocolate. It's going to keep on melting, okay? I've taken it off the heat. It's going to keep on melting. And I'm going to put it aside while I get the next thing ready. Okay. So now I've got a board with some baking paper on it because I'm going to dip them in the chocolate and put them on a board, okay? I'm just going to find... Oh, thank you. So I've just got a board with some baking paper on it. What I loved actually is when you put these on the baking paper, you get this drippy bit around it, and the chocolate and Copha is so delicious to eat. It's like this, it has a different texture to normal chocolate actually. Normal melted chocolate and butter. It's completely something the Copha does. Okay, so I'm just mixing this now. Oh, it's hot. Oh. You see, I did that twice in a row. Picked up the hot bowl without a thing because it doesn't look hot, okay? Look how beautiful and glossy and smooth that is now. Perfectly dippable and ready for the next step, okay? So, is everyone with me? Oh. Don't mind that. I'm going to use a little palette knife. Just very little space here. All right. Bear with me, everybody. I'm going to take one of these biscuits and I'm going to literally put it in, turn it over, and fish it out again. And I don't want to put my fingers on it particularly because I want it to be nice and smooth without a finger mark. And then I'm going to put it down onto my paper. I'm going to do 2 and then I'll show you. Okay, let's see if I can do a better job of that. Jane, any tips for this part?
Not really, but you could, you know, they have like little implements like you're using a little bit bigger, you know, that sometimes have holes in them, like a fish flipper or whatever. As long as they're flat, like the chocolate can drip down through the holes. So sometimes that, but no, and look, honestly, I just use my fingers.
Okay, so I'm putting these, they look so gorgeous and glossy. I'll show you. I'll just do my 4. And when we finish in a few minutes, I'm going to actually finish the rest of them because I know lots of people who love them. My first one was a bit weird. I'm going to re-dip it. I'm not happy with the top. I want it to be completely smooth and shiny on the top. Now, these will then need to go into the fridge. I think it's a Copha thing that they're going to need refrigerating to get hard. Is that a Copha thing?
Well, not really, but I mean, they could stay out and become firm if it's a cool enough day. But just like with chocolate, you know, it takes longer, obviously.
Yeah.
They'll sit more quickly. Also, yeah, it's just really a time factor, really. And it's safer in Australia always to say to put in the fridge when you've got a chocolate coating on something because they will obviously melt otherwise. Yeah. But another country, it's cold and, you know, it's freezing in your kitchen.
So that's my wagon wheel. Unfortunately, I usually take a bite of everything at the end of a session, but they're just not ready yet. And I'm going to have to wait till they get cold and I'm going to put it on. I'm going to eat them on Instagram on stories so everyone can see that I'm actually eating it. That's the wagon wheels all done. And I hope that people have followed the recipe and what I've done. I think it's pretty simple. Get a hold of Jane's book anyway because it's really one worth having forever, you know, particularly if you're Australian and remember all those things. Jane, thanks for your time this morning. It's been so great chatting to you and having you here. I really loved it. And I'm going to see, depends how long lockdown goes. If I head down the confectionery path again, we may do musk sticks or something, but I'll talk to you about that. Thanks for your time. It's been so good to see you and hang out with you. And thank you everyone for joining me again today and asking Jane all those great questions. And it's been really fun. Please post pics of your wagon wheels so I can see them. Don't forget to tag Monday Morning CC. One more thing I want to let you know is tomorrow I'm having a day off. Sunday, I'm going to be with Michael Rantisi doing brunch. You can still sign up for that for recipes and class only through Kepos Street Kitchen website. Remember we had lunch at Kepos Street, Jane? Oh my God, that was years ago. It must have just opened.
Yeah, I know, and it was fab. And I remember you were
I
just
think I had falafel. It was so good.
yeah,
And then I've just put up on our website, I'm going to do just before Jewish New Year, literally the day before, I'm going to do the Russian honey cake in a step-by-step workshop. We're going to make the whole thing from beginning to end, this amazing layered Russian honey cake. It is fantastic. And sign up for that through the Monday Morning Cooking Club website. Everyone's saying thanks so much to you, Jane. I agree. Thank you, Jane. I'll see you all next time. I will be back next Tuesday on Insta Live with a salad week. It's going to be delicious, okay? I promise you. Thanks, Jane, and thanks, everyone. Keep safe, everyone. Stay home if you're in lockdown, and, of course, get vaccinated if you haven't already. Bye, all. Mwah. Kisses and hugs from me. See you, everybody. Bye.